Hey, welcome back to Mrs. Wizard's Way, and today we're in the shop. We are going to talk to the guys in the shop about the car that got away. Let's get started. So the older you get, the more cars you've had and you've owned, and there's probably one that you've had that you really wish you would have kept. If you have one, tell me about it in the description below. I'd love to hear about it. But today we're talking to the guys in the shop about what was the car they used to have that for whatever reason, they sold it, something happened to it, it got away. So we all have that story. And even, I remember my mom, when I was growing up, she had a 65 Mustang. It threw a rod. And she was so sad. She's like, I should have fixed that engine. I should have fixed that engine. But she didn't, and she got something else, and it's probably something ridiculous from back in those days. But that was the one thing that she always wanted to get. And even before we lost her, she kept searching. And she almost actually bought one that was like a garage barn find that, but it just didn't happen. But that's the way it is. Mine, I would love to have my 2001 Jaguar XJR back. That was a great car. We actually named it Otis. We called it Oats for short. That thing was fast. It was great. It had like 390 horsepower supercharged. It was great. Amazing sleeper because it had, it was a four-door, had, seats in the back. I could haul the kids around in it. No, I wasn't, tearing up the track or anything like that, but I definitely was, given some spirited driving every so often. And what did we do to that car? We traded it. Wizard drove it on a trailer. Well, he put it on a trailer and drove it to like Wyoming to trade it for that Rolls Royce that we had. And we did videos on that. And it was a beautiful car. So many of those Rolls Royce and Bentleys of those older years were so beautiful. On the outside, it's just the inside was the problem. And that was the one that had that horrible, horrible wiring problem where the man kind of lost his mind and decided to rewire or dewire his car. Yeah, and Wizard worked on it for the longest time. But unfortunately, even that car got sent up to J&J Auto so it could be used for other people's projects because it was just, unfortunately, that poor man killed his car. So that's what happened to my favorite car. I have another one too, but we had a Land Rover Discovery that I loved, but and you know what, I've owned, since then, I've owned Jaguars and I've owned Land Rovers since, but for some reason, that XJR was my absolute favorite. So we're going to start in the office with Crazy D. Let's go off and see what he says. So hey, Crazy D, what was the one car that you had that you wish you could have back again?
I had a 1967 Chrysler Newport that had originally, when I got it, it was on its original miles, and it was still sitting at 3,600 and some odd miles. So,
when did you get it?
So I got that, was shortly out of high school, newly married. I knew a guy who kind of had a pill problem, and it was his dad. His dad had bought it brand spanking new, straight from the factory, and shortly after had a heart attack. And his mom didn't get rid of anything after he passed away, and the car sat covered in the garage in Omaha, Nebraska until she passed away, and he brought it down here, and it sat in his carport for about a month, and I knew it was there, and a friend of mine said, hey, I think I bet he'd sell it. He's jonesing right now, and I offered him $800 for it, and he sold me the car.
Wow. So why, if you loved it so much, why did you sell it?
Because somebody offered me an amount I should have refused.
Can you tell us how much you got for it?
So a guy approached me at Walmart and was looking at the car, and he offered me $5,000, and I decided that was a whole lot of money to me back then. And I sold it, and I have missed that car ever since.
What did you get to replace it?
I kind of never did replace it. I honestly, I've had a few like that I've bought, but I never really did replace that car, and never with anything. So.
Okay, and what made you love that car so much?
I don't know. I love those boats. I think it goes back to my grandmother when I was a kid had in a CHRYSLER New Yorker, and just like the back seats were just like a couch, and I just love those big old boats from the 60s and 70s and early 80s, and I don't know, just the way they ride and how they handle, and they just don't make cars like that anymore. I mean, you can't buy a car. You just can't get a car that's comfortable anymore, and those things were just designed with nothing but comfort in mind. Okay,
awesome. Well, thank you. I never knew that about Crazy D. That would sound like such a crazy cool car to have, and we've had a lot of those big old vintage cars in the shop. Never Newport though. We haven't had one of those, but we've had a lot of those, you know, cars that ride like sofas. So that's cool. Next, we're back out here in the shop. Let's go ahead and check it and see what Danielson says is his favorite. Okay, Danielson, your turn. What was your favorite car that you had that you sold that got away from you?
1992 240 SX. I did a video on this channel, on Whistler's channel, about selling the car at the time. You know, financial troubles at the time. I just had moved here, so yeah, that's the one that got away.
So why did you sell it?
Yeah, just financial troubles. Just kind of needed the money, and I turned that money into a house. So
that's a good exchange.
Yep,
yeah, yeah. So you didn't actually replace the car with anything?
Unfortunately, not yet. But I'm still looking. I'm still looking for a replacement.
So what made you like that car so much?
I just like the way it drives, the simplicity, I guess. Fortunately, that car was in really good condition. I never really did anything to it, and I drove it around for 5 years. So it was just enjoyable to drive. I didn't like to go fast. I did like the spirit of driving, but yeah, that's.
How did you do on the drive from Florida to Kansas?
It was on a trailer. Yeah, I put it on a trailer on a U-Haul, and I drove that thing all the way up here, 25 hours.
25. That's a long drive.
It was. First time for me.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir.
Of course.
I figured Danielson would have chosen something from a long time ago, but that was one that actually made it here into our shop. And I remember making that video. That was a pretty cool video. Next, we go off to Grimes. And I think he's working on one of the cars right now. Pardon me, Grimes. We're going to interrupt you. You're literally in your work today.
Digging into it. We're diagnosing some AC issues on this Lotus, and I think we actually figured it out. So
that's good. You're definitely...
a little bit of wiring to do.
Ooh, doesn't look fun. But today's video, we are talking about what was the one car you used to have that you let slip away, you got rid of?
I hate thinking about it. It was a 1990 Ford Thunderbird Super Coupe. It was a 35th anniversary edition, super low mile car, California car, so it wasn't rusty, manual, which was really desirable. I think they made less than 1,000 of those, and I got a really good deal on it. And then I got deployed my second time and opted to trade it in for a Ford Focus, which was a really disheartening moment. And yeah.
So how long ago was that, roughly?
That would have been 2016.
Okay. So what made you like that car so much?
My first car was a 95 Thunderbird, and my second was another 95, but it was a Super Coupe, and that's kind of when I fell in love with them. My total count is up to 5 now that I've owned.
Wow, that's impressive. So it's not, you're looking for another one?
No, actually I have another one. I've got a 92 now that I also bought. California car, super low mile, but it's an automatic and needs some work to be daily drivable. But I really like the chassis. They're big, they're comfortable, they get surprisingly good gas mileage, and make plenty of power, and they're supercharged, so they make the, you know, all the good noises.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I'll let you get back to your work.
All right.
That is crazy. Grimes had 5 Thunderbirds. He really, really much liked them. And I totally appreciate that he likes that supercharge. That makes it so much fun driving. So the next one, let's go head off to the Wizard and check in there and storm into his office and see what was his favorite. Boy, Wizard, are you finding me a new purse?
Oh yeah, actually I was.
Oh, you're so sweet. Hey, so today's video, we are asking everybody in the shop, what was the one car you used to have that you wish you had never sold?
Well, that was when I was in the military. I had a 1979 Camaro Berlinetta. I think I paid like $2,000 for it, and it was in pretty decent shape. And I wish I would have kept it, because now they're going for 20 and 30 and 40 grand. I should have kept that one.
Why did you sell it?
I think at the time I just wanted a truck. Those cars weren't desirable or collectible. There wasn't nothing special about it at that time, so I sold it, got a truck.
So what made you like that car so much?
I always wanted a Camaro, and that one I particularly loved, the late 70s, early 80s body styles of those Camaros. I was just shopping around for a car, and on a used lot there in Killeen, Texas is where I was at, and it was for sale. And I was like, I'm getting that car. It's beautiful. And I had fun with it. I had a lot of fun.
So you said you replaced it with a truck. Was it anything special? What kind of truck did you get?
It was a 1973 Ford F100. It was one of the toughest trucks I've ever seen in my life. I actually took it out on tank trails off-roading one time and burst the radiator. Like a branch went through it. I lost all my coolant. I drove 20 miles home with no coolant. And I thought, this thing is surely dead. Nope. I put a radiator in it, coolant, and drove another year that way. No problems.
Those are great trucks. That was almost my very first car. I had a 72 F100 as well. So, interesting how our lives coincided before we even met.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you, Wizard.
All right, I'll get back to ordering your purse.
Oh, you're so kind. I always love to hear what people wish they still had back. Even my dad had a 72 Malibu, something like that, kind of similar to what we have over there, but yeah, it was obviously running. That was my dad's favorite. And everyone has that story of what was the car that they absolutely loved. Notice that nobody had anything great or fabulous. They were all our daily driver cars that we wish that we had back because they were just so much fun to drive. So I'm hoping next week we can have a BMW video, as my fingers are crossed that it's been getting worked on. And unfortunately, you'll see it's not on any of the lists at the moment because unfortunately, even though I know people to work on them, I'm not at the top of the list. I'm kind of way down at the bottom. And so hopefully this week my BMW Z3 will be on the road and I'll finally be able to enjoy it before winter gets here. Nonetheless, if you haven't subscribed, I'd love for you to do so. I'll check you later. See ya.